You ever crack a joke that turns the whole room cold? Captain Natasha Carter did. She asked an old vet his call sign. He said, Iron Viper. The fork stopped. The clock broke. And what he told her next rewrote her bloodline. Stay. This road ends where the watch stopped. The diner was small. Sun on chrome, coffee that bit back. Boots scuffed the linoleum like they owned it. Natasha Carter slid into a corner booth with her squad. She wore the week on her shoulders, salt on her sleeves. She laughed easier than she slept. It was that hour when Marines pretend the world is simple. The old man sat alone by the window. Thin jacket, tattered patches, hands like carved wood. On his wrist, a broken watch. The hand stuck at 1:17. They caught the light and didn't move. She nodded at him. He didn't nod back. He weighed the room the way you count exits. Sir? She said, light tone. What was your call sign back in the day? She meant it as banter. A bow to the past. She expected a playful name. Maybe something soft. She kept the smile rehearsed. He set down his cup. The ceramic made a small sound that somehow traveled the whole diner. Iron Viper, he said. The syllables were smooth, precise. Not a boast. A record. Her smile failed. Someone at the counter lowered a fork mid-air. Someone else stopped chewing. Even the coffee machine seemed to hold its breath. Doors have hinges. Moments have them too. One just swung shut. Strong name, she said. Her voice came back wrong. Too dry, he met her eyes. Not unkind. Just complete. Like a page with no margin. Outside the window, the dusty road ran past the diner and on into nowhere. A truck drifted through the sunlight and disappeared. Her chest tightened like the air had been measured and rationed. What did it cost you? She asked. She didn't plan those words. They found her. He looked down at the broken watch. His thumb traced the cracked glass. The second hand tried and failed to move. Everything that keeps time, he said. The waitress set her check on the table. Natasha pulled her wallet from her pocket. It fell open, empty. She had cash somewhere. Not here. She laughed at herself. No sound. The old man's eyes flicked to the empty wallet, then to the dusty road, then back to the watch. The triangle of his gaze made a map she did not know how to read. Why Viper? She asked softer. He didn't answer fast. Steam coiled from his cup and vanished. Because I learned to hold still until moving was the only mercy left. A photo wall hung near the bathrooms. Old faces in uniforms. Names in black marker that had faded to a gray whisper. She looked for him. Didn't see him. Maybe he was the photographer. Maybe he didn't let cameras learn him. Captain Carter, he said suddenly. She blinked. She hadn't told him her name. Her name tag was in the truck. Her squad had not said it. He said it right anyway. Like someone who had learned her years before she was born. You know me? She asked. I know what brings you to rooms that feel like this, he said. You think you came for coffee. You came for a key. To what? To a door that was welded shut. He slid something across the table. A coin. Heavy. Cold. It showed a coiled serpent and 3 barely visible letters worn by time. SFG. The edge was notched. A tick for each decision that bled. Where did you... Hold on to it, he said. Not because you want it. Because it wants you. Her phone vibrated. A message from base. Report at 1300, debrief moved. She looked at the time. 12:59, the broken watch still said 1:17. It would always say 1:17. She stood to go. The old man didn't move. One more thing, he said. What? Stop joking about names you don't understand. She swallowed. I didn't mean I know, he paused. Bring the coin tomorrow. Same time, she nodded. Yes, sir. Don't call me sir. What should I call you? He picked up his cup. He didn't drink. Call me what they did when they wanted to live. She waited. He set the cup down again. Iron Viper. She left a tip with a note under it. Thank you. She pushed through the door. Outside, the dusty road vibrated in the heat. The horizon swam. Her boots felt heavier than they should. She put the coin in her pocket and it settled there like a promise. Or a debt. She started the truck, looked up and froze. The rearview mirror showed him standing now. Not by the window. By the photo wall. His finger on a frame. His head tilted. The glass flashed. Then the phone on the seat lit again. An unknown number. One line of text, join 17. Ask your mother. Her mother had been gone 9 years. The truck shuddered. A shadow slid across the diner windows. Something clicked in the broken watch that shouldn't have clicked. She looked back at the door. He was gone. The coin in her pocket turned colder. The unread text trembled on the screen. Ask your mother. How? The second text arrived before she could breathe. The grave has answers, which was how Natasha Carter ended up driving toward a cemetery with a coin in her pocket, an empty wallet on the seat and a broken watch in her head, only to find a name on a stone that should not have known hers, and a fresh boot print in the dirt pointing straight at it. The cemetery pressed against the edge of town. Wind moved the flags slow. Names rose in rows from clipped grass. Dates crossed them like quiet bridges. Natasha parked under a bent tree. The dusty road ended at a rusted gate. She held the coin. It throbbed with her pulse. Her empty wallet looked back at her from the seat like a question she didn't want to answer. She took it anyway. Habit, her mother's headstone, was simple. Sharon Carter, 2 dates. Nothing else. No verse, no rank. Her mother never served, as far as Natasha knew, but there was a hairline crack in the marble like the mark of a careful blade. She ran her fingers over it. The crack ended at a tiny circle in the granite. Not drilled, pressed. She pressed back. A panel moved. The sound was small and final. Under the stone, a space opened the width of her palm. Wrapped in oilcloth sat a watch and a card. The watch was the same model as the old man's. The glass was whole. The hands were free. The time read 1:17. The card had a picture of a diner drawn in pencil. In the window, a figure. Underneath, a single line, printed block letters. Ask for him by what he cost. Her throat went dry. She looked around. No one. Only the wind, the flag, the tree trying to be a tree. She put the watch on. It felt too right. It ticked once, then stopped. The second hand landed on the crack where the crystal would break if it were broken. It wasn't. She slid the oilcloth back in place and closed the panel. The seam was gone. The stone was just a stone again. Her palm stung where she had pressed. Mom, she whispered. The word came out as fog. What did you do? Her phone buzzed. She nearly dropped it. Unknown number. Again. If you found the watch, you're already late. Tomorrow. 1:17. Bring the empty wallet. She typed back. Who are you? Dawes, a long pause. Someone who remembers what you forgot. I never knew it. That's the same thing. Her jaw clenched. Iron Viper, she said aloud. The wind took it apart and carried the pieces. She drove back through town. The coin knocked her thigh every time she hit a pothole. It was like a metronome teaching her a rhythm she didn't want to learn. She reached her apartment. She shut the door and locked it twice. She lined up the objects on the table like she was briefing herself. The coin, the empty wallet. The watch stopped at 1:17. A napkin she had taken from the diner, stained with a ring from his cup. The circle slightly off-center, as if even his coffee knew not to settle. She pulled a shoebox from the closet. Old family things. A photo of her mother young at a picnic. A letter with a smudged stamp. In the bottom, wrapped in an envelope she recognized from high school, a folded document she didn't. She opened it. A discharge paper. Not her mother's. The name was carefully erased. But one line remained. Dependent clearance, SFGVI. The same letters as the coin. She checked the envelope. It had a date. 19 years ago. The year her mother took her on a road trip without saying why. The year they had stopped at a diner off the base. The year her mother left the highway for a dusty road and cried behind sunglasses at a gas station that no longer exists. Her chest tightened. She remembered the man at the pump who gave them directions and a candy without asking for money. He wore a tattered jacket and a watch with cracked glass. Mom, she said again. You knew him. She slept on the couch. Light snuck past the blinds at dawn. Everything looked like evidence. Even the dust. She returned to the diner before noon. She parked where she could see the door and the road and herself in the glass. She took the empty wallet. She wore the watch. The coin stayed in her pocket like a small planet bending her orbit. Inside the diner, the waitress nodded. No small talk. Not today. The booth by the window was empty. She took it. She placed the empty wallet on the table. She folded her hands the way you do when you have already said what you came to say. The bell above the door rang. He entered with the slow grace of someone who had seen rooms in every color of fear. Same jacket, same watch, same eyes that knew how your story ends and still let you tell it. You found it, he said, sitting. She nodded. My mother left it. She left it for whoever found courage at 1:17. Why that time? She asked. He touched his own watch. The cracked glass flashed. Because that's when the world ended once and didn't tell anyone. She waited. You have her face, he said. And her stubborn. I knew she'd raise you that way. Natasha swallowed. You knew my mother. I knew what she guarded, he said. She guarded me. She guarded the story you think you want. You don't, not yet. But you'll take it anyway. That's what Carters do. What did it cost you? She asked, remembering the card. He looked past her to the dusty road. A truck paused. A boy on a bike slowed at the window and stared. Names, he said. That's what it cost. They don't belong to me anymore. I need yours, she said. Not the call sign. The one your mother gave you. He shook his head once. Ask for me by what I cost. That's how doors open. She felt the coin burn cold against her thigh. Then I'm asking. He breathed in. The room narrowed. It cost me the men I told I'd bring home. The coffee machine hissed. The waitress looked away. Somewhere a fork clinked on a plate. Now you can call me Viper, he said, voice a little smaller. And you can ask your next question. She didn't get to. The bell rang. 2 men in dark suits stepped inside. Not military. Not local. Not here for coffee. Their shoes were too new for this floor. The shorter one scanned the room. His eyes found the coin bulge in her pocket like it had a beacon. Ma'am, he said, false polite. We'll need that. Need what? She asked. The relic you were never supposed to find. Viper's jaw flexed once. The second man reached into his jacket. Natasha's watch ticked. Once, then stopped. The man's mouth formed Sharon Carter like a password. Like a door that only opened with grief. Viper did not look at him. He looked at Natasha's empty wallet. He nodded at it like a plan he had once made. Pay with that, he said. She didn't understand. Then she did. She slid the empty wallet onto the table. She opened it. She showed the men there was nothing to take. This is all you'll get, she said. The shorter one smiled. It didn't reach the eyes. We'll take the coin, Captain Carter. How do you know I'm a captain? We know everyone in this room, he said. Then you know this is my lunch, the waitress said, stepping between the men and the table with a plate she didn't plan to serve. And you can leave it alone. They ignored her. The taller one's hand hovered near his jacket. The shadow of a shadow. Natasha felt her blood settle into something colder than fear. Training does that. But this was not training. This was personal. This was old. Who sent you? She asked. The part of the map the public doesn't see, the short one said. The part that keeps the edges from tearing. You think you found a story? You found a seal. We keep it shut. Viper sipped coffee he didn't want. If the seal fails, he said quietly, it's because you forgot what it was built to hold. Then let us remember it for you, the man replied. The coin. She touched the pocket. The metal felt almost alive. The serpent's curve pressed against the fabric. She thought of her mother's grave. The hidden watch, the card, asked for him by what he cost. She thought of the broken watch on Viper's wrist, the way the hands never moved past 117, as if the future was a country his time refused to enter without a passport. What happens if I hand it over? She asked. You go back to your life, the tall one said. And if I don't? Then you start living someone else's. The room had gone quiet again. Even the dusty road outside seemed to hold. The traffic paused. The heat shimmered. The boy on the bike pressed his forehead to the glass like a child watching a storm form. Count 3, Viper said to her, barely moving his lips. But don't say the number. She felt the air change. 3, 2, 1. The waitress dropped the plate. It shattered into 100 loud pieces of permission. Viper moved first. Not fast, right? He stood and made himself a wall. The tall man's jacket lifted and Natasha's hand found the coin, not to give, but to throw. Metal spun like a small moon-breaking orbit. It hit the shorter man's knuckles. He swore and looked where pain lives. Viper's elbow met his temple. The tall one's hand cleared leather. The gun showed its teeth. Natasha grabbed the broken watch from Viper's wrist. She didn't mean to. It came loose like it wanted her. She slapped it face down on the table. The hand scraped to life and then froze again at 117, this time under her palm. The gun barked toward the ceiling. Plaster snowed down. The boy on the bike fell backward with a yelp and scrambled away. The waitress ducked behind the counter, came up with a bat older than the neon sign. "Out," Viper said. It wasn't loud. Everyone heard him anyway. The men backed toward the door, recalculating. The short one flexed his bruised hand. "You can't hold it forever," he said. "I don't need forever," Natasha said. "I need tomorrow." They stepped into the sunlight and dissolved into heat and glare. A black sedan drifted from the curb like a decision made for you. It turned onto the dusty road and unmade itself in distance. Natasha exhaled. Her hand still covered the watch. She lifted it. A hairline crack now cut the crystal. It matched the crack on the watch from her mother's stone. "You broke it," Viper said, but his voice held an odd relief. Good. Good. Now it matches the truth." He picked up the coin from the floor and set it back in her palm. "It chose you," he said. "That's how these things work." "What is it?" she asked. "A key, a ledger, a promise. Depends which way you tilt it." He reached for his jacket, paused, and pulled a thin notebook from the inside pocket. Hand-stitched. Weather-stained. He pushed it across the table. "This is the road you think you want." She flipped it open. Pages of coordinates, names that weren't names, dates written in tidy columns. Some circled, some crossed out. In the margin, a list of call signs, angels, dogs, ghosts. At the bottom, one word repeated twice, Viper. Then, on an older page, a different name, Sharon C. Her skin prickled. "My mother," he nodded once. "She carried messages when iron needed lungs. She built a room where stories could be kept alive without being seen. She taught me the difference between silence and erasure." The waitress brought them water and a look that said she had made her choice and would live with it. "I don't want trouble in here," she said. "It already came in," Natasha replied. "We're just paying the bill." Viper pointed to a line of numbers on a torn page. "Go here at dusk," he said. "There's a mile marker that no one counts. Under it is a box. Inside the box is the reason 117 is a wound we let heal crooked. Will they be there?" Natasha asked, thinking of the suits. "They never leave," he said. She closed the notebook. She slid the coin and the broken watch into the empty wallet and snapped it shut. Empty no more. The trio of objects sat together like a plan that would only work if you believed it could. "Why me?" she asked. "Why not keep hiding?" "Because hiding is a kind of death," he said. "And we already did that once." She stood. He stayed seated. His eyes left the door and landed on the photo wall. "When you reach the mile marker," he said, "do not step on the gravel. Step on the tire tracks. Old ones trust the ruts. They remember." She left money by the water. She touched the waitress's hand and said thank you in a way that meant all the other words you can't say in a room with strangers watching. Outside, the heat smelled like metal. The dusty road was now a line she couldn't pretend was scenery. It was a border. You cross and you don't come back as the person who left. She started the engine. The watch on her wrist twitched. The second hand tried, failed, tried again. She took a breath. She put the empty wallet with its impossible cargo on the passenger seat. The coin seemed to hum. The notebook lay open to a page with a penciled sketch of a mile marker. Someone had written, "Don't be late," under it. She rolled forward. In the rear view, the black sedan appeared again. This time it didn't bother with hiding. It pulled out behind her, patient as a shadow. And as the diner shrank in the mirror, Natasha realized the dusty road didn't lead to the edge of town. It led to a place her mother had carefully taught her to forget. And someone there was waiting with a name she would not want to hear spoken out loud. The marker sat crooked at the bend, half buried in grit, stamped with a number that meant nothing unless you knew what it used to be. The sun slid toward the hills. The air changed flavor. Some evenings taste like metal. This one did. Natasha parked past the bend. The black sedan kept going as if it had somewhere more important to be. It didn't. She knew better. Shadows do their best work when you think they're gone. She walked back along the shoulder. Tires had carved their story into the dirt. 2 deep ruts leading off the road into scrub that wanted to be a forest and failed. She stepped into the ruts. The ground felt steady there. Old choices holding your feet. Kneeling by the marker, she scraped away gravel. A steel box sat in the dirt as if the earth had grown it. No lock, just weight. She lifted the lid. Inside, a reel-to-reel tape sealed in wax, a Polaroid of a jungle clearing, a folded map, and a stamped envelope unopened. The envelope had one word handwritten in careful letters. Natasha. The breath left her in a shape she didn't recognize. She looked around. The road hushed. The wind sat very still. She tore the envelope open. A single page, typed, no header. It read, "If you're holding this, you already know the time. 1:17, we were pinned." He made the choice. I carried the message. They erased the names. I hid the watch where you would find it. Do not trust the people who show you badges without names. Trust the man who lost his. He will tell you what I couldn't tell you, because by the time you read this, they will have taught my heart to stop. Mom. The page trembled in her hands. She folded it once, then twice, and slid it into the empty wallet. The wallet felt less empty. It felt like a room had moved in. The Polaroid showed a clearing littered with broken crates. In the center, a sign hammered into the dirt. Serpent's Fang. Absolutely nothing to see. Someone had written, "Ha." On the corner, she picked up the reel. The wax seal held a thin mark in it. A fingerprint. Her mother's? Viper's? Another hand she didn't want to meet. She put it back. No way to play it here. The map was USGS. Edges softened by thumb and rain. Circles in pencil. One circle around a spot near a river bend. The word cash printed small. Her phone buzzed. She didn't jump this time. Unknown number. A text, "They're behind you." She didn't turn. She closed the box. She slid it back under the grit. She stood and stepped out of the ruts onto the loose gravel as if she were naive. She counted her heartbeats. She let one more pass, then turned. The shorter man from the diner stood at the edge of the scrub. The taller one flanked him. They had learned something since lunch. Their eyes were more careful. Their hands, too. "Evening," the short one said. "Find anything?" "Just dirt," she said. "Lovely dirt," he said, looking at her hands. "Government issue?" He grinned. "It is now. Where's your badge?" she asked. He pulled a leather case. Flashed a seal too fast to read. Closed it. "Satisfied?" "No." "Good, you shouldn't be." He nodded toward the marker. "This part of the world has a memory problem. We help with that. By taking coins from women at diners. By keeping old wars from waking up." Viper's voice came from the ruts behind the marker. She hadn't heard him approach. He stood in the tire tracks like someone coming home by the way the house remembers him. "You don't get to decide what wakes," he said. The tall one's jaw ticked. "You had a good funeral," he said. "Better than you deserved." "Don't ruin it." Viper smiled without joy. "You were there. In the back. The man who coughed during taps." The tall man said nothing. "Tell your boss," Viper continued, "that his leak has a name." The short one's grin faltered. "You have proof?" Viper tapped his jacket pocket. The thin notebook made a small sound. "Proof is a polite word for weight." "This is bigger than you," the short man said. "Everything is," Viper said. The dusty road carried a sound then. Not a car. A helicopter far away choosing a direction. Natasha felt the horizon tilt. "We're done asking," the short one said. "We'll take the box." "What box?" Natasha asked. "The one you almost hid well." Viper stepped forward. "If you touch it, make sure you change your name." "It won't want you after that. They moved anyway," the moment snapped. The ruts told her where to place her feet. Gravel shifted under the men in new shoes. The bat from the diner was not here, but the rules from the diner were. People pick sides faster than they draw guns. Natasha grabbed a fistful of dirt and threw it at the tall man's face. He blinked. That was enough. Viper's hand found the short man's wrist. The coin in Natasha's pocket burned cold again. She pulled it out, pressed the serpent against the tall man's forearm. He hissed like the metal had teeth. "Please reconsider," a voice said calmly. A third figure stepped from the scrub. Older. Gray hair, neat. Suit dark but dusty. He wore no badge at all. He didn't need to. Authority sat on him like an old coat that fit. "Director," the short one said, not surprised, afraid. "Captain Carter," the director said, eyes on Natasha. "Your mother was brave. She kept a door shut for us. Don't pry it open because grief makes you strong." Natasha swallowed. "She kept it shut for you or for the people on the other side?" He tilted his head. "I don't pretend that's a two-option question." Viper nodded at the director. "You sent her the card?" "I wrote it," the director said. "We all protect different parts of the same truth." "Which part is yours?" Viper asked. "The part that keeps the body count low." The helicopter sound grew louder. The map in Natasha's hand fluttered. The marker's number caught a flare of sun. Horn 17, she hadn't seen it. Not until now. The mile marker itself was the time. She looked at Viper. He nodded once, small like a man who trusts a bridge he built years ago. She bent and snapped the wax on the reel with her thumbnail. She spun the tape once fast around her finger. She lifted her phone, turned on the flashlight and shone it through the tape's brown ribbon onto the marker. Shadow words lit the dust. Not magic, physics. Letters scrolled across the gravel like a confession. Serpent's fang. Civilians alive. Cover your sins with our dead. The director closed his eyes. The tall man looked at his shoes. The short one swore softly. Now we have a conversation, Viper said. The helicopter tilted closer. Natasha slid the reel into the empty wallet with the coin and the crack-faced watch. The wallet bulged with things that weren't money. Your move, she told the director. He studied the words sinking back into dust. He looked older by years that didn't exist. We can't be seen here, he said. Not with that on the ground. The short one took a step. The tall one did too. The first rotor wash slapped the scrub. Dust rose in a sheet. The letters blurred. Get in, the director said to the men. We'll talk later. They ran for the road. The helicopter thundered over the bend, dropped a ladder, clawed them up, and was gone. The sound tore, then healed. Silence returned like it had been waiting in the car. Viper exhaled. You were going to let them take you, he said. I was going to let them think I would, she said. Good. She slid the steel box deeper under the marker. She kicked dust over the seam. She stood in the ruts like they had adopted her. What now? She asked. Viper nodded toward the river bend on the map. Now you go to the place where the watch stopped. 17? He shook his head. No, the other time. The one no one writes down. What time is that? The minute after you do the thing you thought you couldn't. She folded the map. She tucked it away. She turned back toward the road and saw, with new eyes, how the dusty line didn't just lead to places. It led back. And downriver, beyond the bend, a single light winked on. The kind of light that means someone turned a power switch you didn't know you were connected to. And the shadow it threw on the water ran in the shape of a coiled serpent.